The vehicle inspection consists of thoroughly inspecting certain portions of your vehicle. When you inspect a vehicle, point or touch to the items you intend to inspect and tell the examiner what defects you are looking for. You may inspect the vehicle in any order you wish, but make sure you inspect the engine compartment, all the external components. Make sure you do a light check on the vehicle, engine startup checks, the in-cab inspection, and the brake test. You will inspect the left side of the vehicle with the exception of items that are only found on the right side. You only need to inspect the first, third, and fourth axles. Section 1. Front of the vehicle, fluids, and right side of engine compartment. Walk up to the vehicle. The engine is off, the brakes are set, and the keys are in my pocket. The tractor and trailer are not leaning to the left or right. There are no fluid leaks under the vehicle. Open the hood of the tractor and inspect the right side of the engine compartment. Cover engine-mounted components on the side of the engine on which they are located. Identify if it is gear or belt driven. Water pump is properly mounted, clamps are tight, no cracks or leaks in the hoses, the fittings are tight. Identify whether the pump is gear or belt driven. Alternator is properly secured and has no loose or bare wires and is belt driven. Water coolant, engine oil, and power steering is checked and full. Belts have no cuts or frays and no more than 3/4 inch deflection. Section 2. Left side of the engine compartment. Move to the left side of the engine. Power steering pump is mounted securely. All hoses have no cuts, cracks, or leaks, and clamps and fittings are tight. Pump is gear driven. Air compressor and governor are properly mounted. The hoses have no cracks or leaks. Clamps and fittings are tight, and the compressor is gear driven. Section 3. Steering system and suspension system. Steering system. Steering shaft is straight. U-joints are tight and greased. Steering gearbox is properly mounted to the frame and no missing hardware and no leaks. All hoses have no cracks or leaks. Clamps and fittings are tight. All steering linkage, including the tie rod, are properly mounted, not cracked or broken, attached with castle nuts and cotter pins. Suspension system. Front and rear hangers are bolted to the frame with no missing or loose hardware, not cracked or bent. The leaf springs are not bent, cracked, or missing, properly secured. U-bolts are tight with no signs of movement. Shock absorber is properly mounted and not leaking. Section 4. Air system front for drum brakes and disc brakes and front wheel and tire. Air system front, drum brakes only. Brake hoses are properly secured, no cracks or leaks. Brake canisters are properly mounted, no dents, and the clamp is tight. Slack adjuster is mounted securely to the push rod and there is 1/2 to 1 inch of free play. Pins are in place. Brake drums are not cracked or welded and there is no oil or grease. Brake shoes have at least 1/4 inch of material remaining and are not cracked and there is no oil or grease. Air system front, disc brakes only. Airline has no cuts, cracks, or frays. Fittings are tight with no air leaks. Brake canister is attached, not dented or leaking. Clamp is tight. Rotor is not cracked or warped, has no oil or grease. Brake pads have at least 1/4 inch of pad remaining. They are not cracked and have no oil or grease. Front wheel and tire. Inner and outer wheel seals are not leaking and filled to the proper level. Lug nuts are all present, no sign of looseness such as rust trails. Inner and outer wheel has no cracks, breaks, welds, or bent flanges. Valve stem is straight with the cap. Tire pressure has been checked with a gauge and is at manufacturer's specifications. Inner and outer tire has no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. Tire has at least 4/32 inch of tread remaining. Section 5. Cab section, fuel tank, and sleeper section. Cab section. Grab the mirror. The mirror is firmly attached, no broken glass, and is clean. Open the door. The door opens and closes properly. Hinges are tight. Seal is not torn. There is a 10 BC fire extinguisher that is properly charged and mounted. The steps are all in place and tight. Sleeper section. Inside this door there are 3 warning triangles, spare fuses or breakers, and the door is closed. Fuel tank. The tank is properly mounted to the frame with no cracks or leaks. There is a vented fuel cap with a gasket and it is tight. Section 6. Between the truck and trailer, coupling device, and rear of tractor. Between truck and trailer. The air lines and the electrical cord are supported off the deck by a spring. The air lines and fittings have no cracks or leaks. The glad hands are attached to the trailer and the O-rings are not torn. Air and electrical lines are attached to the trailer and the tractor. The electrical cord has no cuts or exposed wires. The front wall of the trailer has no holes. The exhaust stack, the lower exhaust, and flex tube all the way to the motor are straight. The clamps are all tight with no leaks. The drive line is straight, U-joints are tight and greased. The deck plates and steps are all in place and tight. Coupling device. Before I hooked up to the trailer, I inspected the fifth wheel plate for cracks, and it is greased. The fifth wheel assembly is bolted to the frame with no missing or loose hardware. The trailer apron is not bent or cracked. The kingpin is straight and not cracked. After I hooked up to the trailer, I did a visual inspection from the side. There's no gap between the fifth wheel and the apron. The release handle is in the locked position. If this were a sliding fifth wheel, the lock pins would be in the locked position. I will now crawl underneath the tractor and look into the throat of the fifth wheel. There is no gap between the fifth wheel and the apron. The locking jaws around the shank of the kingpin and the jaws are not cracked or broken. Rear of tractor. The frame rails, as far as I can see, are straight and have no cracked welds or loose or missing hardware. Mud flap is properly mounted, covers the width of the duals, and no more than 10 inches off the ground. Section 7, the third axle. I would inspect the wheels and tires as I did on the previous axle, except the tires are no less than 2/32 of an inch of tread depth. There are no obstructions between the tires and they are not kissing. I would inspect the brake system as I did on the previous axle. I would inspect the suspension system as I did on the previous. All the torsion rods are properly mounted and secured, and there are no cracks or breaks. The airbag is securely mounted with no cracks or leaks. Section 8. Trailer. Cross members, landing gear, and outside appearance. The landing legs are bolted to the trailer with no missing or loose hardware. The landing legs are straight in the full and upright position. The crank handle is stored in its hanger. Step back away from the trailer. Front, top, and bottom clearance lights and reflectors are all present with no broken or missing lens covers. The skin has no holes and is not bulged. The reflective tape runs the full length of the trailer, none missing or loose. The frame is straight, not cracked, and all hardware is in place and tight. Section 9. Trailer. Sliding tandems and front trailer axle and wheel assembly. Walk back to the front trailer axle. If the trailer has sliding tandems, cover the next 3 items. Sliding frame rail is attached to the trailer and straight, no cracks. Locking pins, front and rear, extend through the rail. Release handle is in the locked position. I will inspect the brakes, wheels, tires, and suspension as I did on the previous axle. The equalizer is properly mounted and secured and not cracked or broken. Section 10. Trailer. Back of trailer and trailer doors. Walk to the back of the trailer. ABS light is not broken or missing, if equipped. Top clearance lights, tail lights, reflectors are all present with no broken or missing lens covers. Reflective tape is present across the width of the trailer. Bumper is properly mounted to the trailer with no broken welds and is straight. Both mud flaps are secured to the trailer. Cover the width of the duals. There are no more than 10 inches off the ground. If the trailer has swing doors, the door ties and holders are in place. Door hinges and latches are tight, not broken, and all hardware is present and tight. If the trailer has a roll door, door is all the way down, latches are tight, not broken, and all hardware is present and tight. Door opens, closes, and seals properly. Step to the right side of the trailer and say, I would inspect this side of the vehicle in the same way. If there is a door on the right side of the trailer, door hinges and latches are not broken with no missing hardware. Door tie and tie holder are in place. Grab handle is tight. Steps are mounted to the trailer and not broken, and the door opens and closes and seals. Section 11, Light Check. Walk up to the front of the truck and close and secure the hood. The examiner will stand outside the truck during the light check and let you know that the lights are working. Start with the tractor, then do the trailer. Turn key to on position and turn on all light switches. Headlights and upper and lower clearance lights are on. High beams are on and indicator works. Left turn signal is on and indicator works. Right turn signal is on and indicator works. Four-way flashers are on and indicator works. Ask the examiner to walk to the rear of the trailer and check the following. Clearance lights on the side of the tractor, front and side of the trailer. Tail and clearance lights, left turn signal, right turn signal, brake lights, four-way flashers. Section 12, Engine Startup Check. Demonstrate the safe start procedure. Parking brake is on, transmission is in neutral, clutch is in. Say, when I turn the key to the on position, the ABS warning light will come on and then go out. Say, when I start the engine, the oil pressure should stabilize within 5 seconds, or I will shut the engine off. Start the engine while pointing to the oil pressure gauge. Tell the examiner oil pressure did stabilize. Water temperature, voltage, and air pressure are all at normal operating levels. Section 13. In-cab inspection. Windshield and side windows are not cracked or broken. Windshield wipers and washers work. Wiper blades are not torn. Heater and defroster work and demonstrate. City and air horns work. Mirrors are adjusted just for me. Seatbelt latches properly and is not torn or cut. Section 14, Brake Test. The brake test has 6 total steps, 3 with the engine running and 3 with the engine off. Number 1, check the tractor parking brake. Pull parking brake out and push trailer air supply in. Tug against the tractor parking brake in low gear. The brake should hold firmly. Number 2, check trailer spring brakes. Pull the air supply out and push parking brake in. Tug against the trailer spring brakes in low gear. Brakes should hold firmly. Number 3, put the truck in low gear and do a rolling brake test at 5 miles an hour. The truck should come to a firm stop without pulling left or right. Shut the engine off. When the engine dies, turn the key back to the on position. Release both the tractor parking brake and the trailer spring brakes by pushing the valves in. Steps 4 through 6 must be completed in order. Number 4, apply service brakes to 90 psi. According to the federal regulations, with the engines off and the brakes on, a combination vehicle cannot lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute. Number 5, test the low air pressure warning device. Fan the brakes on and off until the low pressure warning device activates. It must come on before the air pressure drops below 60 psi. Number 6, test the emergency brakes. Continue fanning the brakes on and off until the emergency brakes activate. This should happen between 20 and 40 psi. Both brake valves must pop out.